be looking into a fresh unit, and this module will be second. If you find any difficulty in taking certain parts, so be specific in your question. Sir, this is where I stuck and I cannot understand this concept. See, you are independent, you can ask this question. If you ask that, you are in a process of knowledge. So knowledge is a process. Whenever you query yourself or whenever you query with the teachers, you will get knowledge and you will be improved intellectually and you will be improved technically. The person who is not reasoning, he is the person is not at all gaining his knowledge. So all book knowledges are available. If the knowledge is in your head, if the knowledge has transferred you, then you will be having multiple number of questions. See, for making a constitution of India, we need a ruling party and opposition party. Yes or no? We need both the parties in order to have a constitution. So we are there in India. India is ruled by the constitution. So the certain people, the opponent party has to raise question. That is the duty of the opponent party. They cannot sit simply and the person who are ruling can rule everything. So you cannot take like that. So if you are having a good democracy, if the people needs everything, what you should do is you have to raise question and not raise question with others, raise question with yourself. So you came here to learn, and if you are not knowing, you have to raise question along what you are not understanding with the staff. Definitely all the faculties will help you in gaining the knowledge. So don't hide your ignorance. So ignorance, everybody has ignorance. So even myself, I am also having ignorance in certain parts. I am not knowing everything. So I keenly try to know that, even though it might be engineering field, it might be science, it might be medicine, everything. Keep on. So education is not a single day process. You have to learn day by day. So that is a habit. This habit will come when you do this kind of things. The life has n number of problem. You have to solve day by day problem. So understand the similarity. So life has many challenges each and every day. So that is why you should have a habit. So if you are not having habit of solving the problem throughout your career, it will affect and you are going to suffer. See, career has to help you as well as the organization. Both has to get benefited. That is known as a good career. So if you are in an organization where you are not satisfactory, then you will not get benefited. Also, organization will not benefited. Parallelly, society will not benefited. See, due to this habit, this is a long process and it will ripple all around the world. Educated people, that who is who. So each and every one has certain part of knowledge which has to be gained. If you work hard, definitely you will be get benefited, but not sooner. So nothing will come immediately. Only when you spend, it will come immediately. So in this world, nothing is immediate. So you have to make that. If you plant a tree, definitely it is natural. Every natural thing is not immediate. So every artificial thing is immediate. What we need is immediate. Hurry, currently, right now. Everything they are putting in an advertisement. But naturally, if you drop a seed, immediately you cannot reap the fruit. So if you study now, immediately you will not get paid. So this is nature. If a person has to excel in his career, you have to have that seed inside you. So the seed will slowly, it will grow and it will become a plant and it will have the own flower, and after that you will get the fruit. So fruit is not a direct thing which is there in the universe, but all natural things come with the effort. So the seed has to put effort in order to become into a tree. So understand that in this whole world, why? Because this is a magical world. So in this world, everything is different. Natural things come very slowly. Try to understand the difference. So if you go into artificial mode, everything will be immediate. So the effect will also will be immediate. And natural things comes naturally, but it will not at all go. If you have certain knowledge, nobody can erase your knowledge. till the end of your life you will have the same knowledge and nobody can erase your knowledge, but the thing what you get immediately will be lost immediately. So this is a universal law which is set by our ancestors. So take these words and work according to these words. So this might be simple things, but simple things make difference. Okay. So by this introduction and certain things of morality. So we need morality while we learn. So let us go into the today's topic. Is it visible to all?
Yes, sir, it's visible.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay. So yes, today's class is Equilibrium of Forces, and this is the title of module 2, and now we will be discussing free body diagram, Lamy's theorem and equation of equilibrium. So these three concepts we will be dealing with today's class. Okay. Now first thing is called equilibrium. So what is the definition? When a stationary body is subjected to external force, if the body remains in the state of rest under the action of force, then it is known as equilibrium. And how you can understand is, if any object, if it is being forced or if it is being stressed. So in an example 1, you can see that the donkey is being forced and it is being pulled at one direction, and the donkey is pulling the rope in another direction. So what happens due to equilibrium? If the two forces are equal, then nothing will happen. So either this donkey is moving or the man is moving. So nobody is moving here. Why? Because this system is under equilibrium. So the concept of equilibrium is very much required in many applications. See, if you are using a car, after you drive a car to certain 200 or 400 kilometers, if you stop the car has to be the same car when it is started. So if you start at Bangalore and end up in Goa, your car should be the same when you started the car. So that is the thing which is called equilibrium. So if even the tire is having any motion, so after all the traveling distance, the tire should not get affected due to the friction. So this is what the concept of equilibrium. Also for aeroplanes, whatever the condition is there for aircraft, so it should travel to certain destination and it should land without any small changes in the object. Also for the building, so it can be occupied by 100 people, even 1000 people can occupy an apartment. So the apartment should not deflect or it should not topple. So you can build a apartment dolls, and by using small doll you can make apartment. So due to external force or due to pushing, it can topple and it can fall, but the large structures, the real structures which you build should not fall and it should not get destroyed. And this is the place where the equilibrium concept is being applied. So if how many number of people may occupy a house, the house should not get moved from one place to another, or it should not get toppled, or it should not get twisted. So this is the application of equilibrium. The car is under equilibrium under the seesaw effect, and when another car or another load is exerted more than the required force, then the equilibrium gets damaged. So this is what you have to understand, the concept of equilibrium. So the key point here is, even though if you apply external force, the object should not get damaged. So this is what the concept. So if nobody is applying the force, if nobody is pushing you, say for example, if you are standing in a tall building and in that building if somebody is pushing you, then you are not falling, then you are under in a state of equilibrium. If somebody is pushing you and you are falling in the sense, so you are not under the state of equilibrium. So this is the concept. Even under the application of force, the object should not get moved from one place to another. So that is, it should not change the state of rest. So that is the concept of equilibrium. Okay, the next key word is equilibriant. Okay, so we know that under the equilibrium, the object will be in a state of rest. Okay, these are the two forces which is acting in right hand side and at the downward. So both the forces are acting and you have a resultant force. You know that if two forces are acting in different direction, you can make it into a single force which is called a resultant, and at the path of resultant this object is going to move. We know that. Okay, what we need is we have to stop this object. So I need to make the object stop. So what I have to do? I have to do and or I have to make an equilibrium. So an equilibrium is a force which is equal and opposite to the resultant. So this force is called an equilibrium. So if I apply this equilibrium force, this object will be in a state of rest. So initially this, due to this two force, this object will get moved to the direction of resultant. So the moving object you have to stop. So what you have to introduce? You have to introduce a force called equilibrium, and it should be equal and opposite in direction. So the force is in opposite direction and the direction is also opposite. So if you apply this force, then the object will not move at any place and it will be in a state of rest. So sometimes the resultant of a force system is not equal to 0. That means the body is not equilibrium. This is what I highlighted. The force which is required to keep the body in equilibrium is known as equilibrium. So what is the force you are applying? This is very much important. So there is a difference between equilibrium and equilibrium, and I hope that you got this point. Okay, then the next concept is principle of equilibrium. Okay, so right now I am explaining this concept in terms of words. Okay, how to quantify this? Sir, you are saying two forces are acting and a resultant force will be there. And how can I quantify that? If 10% of different weight are pulling the object in one direction in right hand side, and if this some different 10% are pulling the object in left hand side, does the object have a state of rest? So sir, how to say that? You can ask the question, but you have to use the principle of equilibrium in order to quantify. So you are in need of quantifying certain parameters. Scrutinize that what is the weight of each and every person who is pulling right hand side and who is pulling at the left hand side. So I will calculate all the weight and I will calculate all the pulling force with left hand side and right hand side. Then I will calculate and tell. Okay, sir, what is the formula to use? So you can raise that. So these are the formulas. So if you want to make a object in state of equilibrium and if you want to quantify, you have to use the 4 number of equations. So what are they? That is sum of f equal to 0. So this is the primary equation. In that you have summation of all forces which are acting horizontally. So x is an axis which is horizontal and y is an axis which is vertical. And if sum of all horizontal force equal to 0 and if sum of all vertical force equal to 0, you have to use the two equations. So you can remember that you have used this equation earlier in module 1. So if multiple number of forces are given at a point, what you have done? You have resolved all the forces in vertical direction and horizontal direction. You have used this two equations in order to find the resultant force. So the same equation you are going to use here, and sum of moment equal to 0. So this equation you have used in coplanar non-concurrent force system, and the first two equations, that is sum of f equal to x and sum of f suffix y equal to 0, you have used in coplanar concurrent force system. So these are the two equations which you are used in module 1. The same equation which will be used in order to quantify the equilibrium concept. So when you identify the resultant, automatically you can say that okay, this is the opposite force I have to give. If the resultant is 100 Newton, which is minus, your equilibrium should be plus 100 at the left hand side. So it will get under a state of static. So okay, this is the concept of principle of equilibrium. A body is said to be in state of equilibrium if the algebraic sum of all the forces acting in the body is 0. So this is what said. You have to add all the forces. If two forces are acting, in this example you can see weight 1, weight 2. So that is 2% is having a mass and they are having a weight. Okay. So if 2% are acting, you have to add the 2 plus the reaction. So this is the third force which is called reaction. So 3 number of forces has to be added. So what do you mean by the term algebraic is you have to add all the 3 number of forces and you have to equate to 0. So that is what it is indicating in principle of equilibrium. Sum of all the forces acting on a body should be equal to 0. This force might be in y direction. See, currently all the forces are in the direction of sum of y equal to 0. Why? The force is downward or upward. So no forces is acting horizontally. Now you can find this equilibrium by using only one equation, that is sum of f of y equal to 0. If in some case you have horizontal force, you can use this equation, and if you want to find moment, you can find the moment at each and every point. Okay, so these are the number of equations for different conditions. So conditions of equilibrium of different force system. Currently we know coplanar concurrent force system. This is what we have dealt in module 1. So you can see that in a single point all the forces are acting. Then it is called concurrent force system, and you know the system, and these are the two formulas in order to solve the problem, or if you want to find the unknown, you can use this two equation. And if it is non-concurrent force system, what do you mean by non-concurrent? The forces will not be acting in a single point. You can see in a line at different point these forces are acting, and you can use the next formula, that is in addition with this two equation you will be having sum of m equal to 0. By using this formula you can find the solution for coplanar non-concurrent force system. For a state of force which is parallel force system, you have to use sum of f equal to 0 and sum of m equal to 0. And the next system, yes, that is coplanar non-concurrent force system. That is, if a force is acting apart from the single plane, if it is acting at different plane, you will be having 3 dimensions, that is x, y and z direction. So that is why summation of f of x, of y and summation of f of z should be equal to 0. And you will be having additional one equation, that is here you will be having sum of x and y will be equal to 0, but non-coplanar force system you will be having additional one equation called sum of f of z equal to 0. So this is the additional thing what you have. Okay, now the third concept in today's class is Lamy's theorem. So this Lamy's theorem is useful in certain cases, so that I will discuss. And this theorem states that if three forces are acting at a point, so this is a point called O, and there are three forces, that is force P, force R and force Q. If three forces are acting at a point are in equilibrium, so this state should be in equilibrium. It should not move from one place to another. Okay, then each force is directly proportional to the sine of angle between the other two forces. Yes, so this is the equation. You can see that if I am taking the force Q, so what is the opposite side of this force? So the opposite side is beta. So this is the angle which is opposite to this force. So Q by beta. So you have to make sine. Okay, you can see that Q by sine beta. This is one equation. And if you are considering the point P, what is the opposite angle? Opposite angle of P is alpha. So P by sine alpha. You can see P by sine alpha. And another thing is, if you are taking R and the opposite angle is gamma, R by sine gamma. So everything will be equal. So this is the concept of Lamy's theorem. So Lamy's theorem in terms of equation, you can write that. So P by sine alpha equal to Q by sine beta and R by sine gamma will be equal. Okay. So it may be a triangle. You can use this concept, the same concept in a triangle. First distance you can take it as P, and the second distance is Q, and third distance is R. So you can use the same Lamy's theorem in this triangle. How? The opposite side, so or the opposite angle of the side R is 180 minus gamma, and R by 180 minus gamma. If you take the Q and the opposite angle of this Q is 180 minus beta, and you have q by 180 minus beta, and for the same thing, if you are considering the distance p, the opposite side angle is 180 minus alpha. So if you either you can have in terms of a triangle or in terms of a force, you can use this Lamy's theorem in order to find the solution. Okay, what is the advantage of Lamy's theorem is, see, when you are using the resolution of force, I have explained resolution of force, so you can use sum of f of x equal to 0. What you can do, you can take this is plus p, and you can resolve r into cos theta, and you can make q into cos theta, which is minus, and you can equate to 0 and you can find. In those cases, if you use, in certain cases, if you have more unknowns, if you have 2 or more unknowns, it is difficult to find by using the resolution of forces. So Lamy's theorem is useful in these cases. While solving the problem, you will be knowing that what is the advantage of Lamy's theorem. So either you can solve by using sum of resolution of forces, or you can solve the solutions by Lamy's theorem. And okay, so next concept is known as free body diagram. What do you mean by free body diagram is, a free body diagram is a diagram which represent the various forces acting on a body. And say for example, if you have a wall here and the wall is being hanged by a spherical ball, so the ball is connected with the wall and by a rope, so this is being tensioned, and by a rope this ball is being connected. Okay, so what is the free body diagram of this system of force? So this is called a system of force. You have number of forces here. So if you want to draw in terms of free body diagram, what are the forces which are acting? So we have to find. So if this is a ball, definitely the ball will be having a weight. So that is taken as W. Always the weight will be acting towards the gravity. So that is why the weight will be in negative direction, that is downward direction. Okay, so it is supported by a wall. So you have a reaction. So that is why the wall is being removed and it is being added with a force called reaction. Either you can take the force system as this, or you can take the force system as this. So both are equal. So when you want to find the solution of a system, you have to convert this real picture into a free body diagram in order to analyze easily. So this wall is being removed and it is being included as a reaction here. Okay, so the reaction is acting at right hand side. You have a tension here and this tension is written here. So totally you have 3 number of forces in a sphere. So this might be a sphere or a ball. So this is called a free body diagram. So now you can remove this ball. You will be having at a single point, you will be having 3 number of forces. Now this picture is being converted into the free body diagram. And why free body diagram is required? If you want to quantify certain parameter, if you query that, sir, what is the force which is required to hang this ball? So I want to hang this ball by using this rope. So what will be the forces will be acting in this rope? So if you are querying this, if you want to quantify, then you have to make this into free body diagram, and after that you can see this is under a coplanar concurrent force system. All the forces are acting in a single plane and at a single point. All the forces are acting at a single point. Then it is concurrent force. Now you can know that, okay, the forces are coplanar and concurrent. So how to quantify? You have 2 equations, that is sum of f of x equal to 0 and sum of f of y equal to 0. So by using these 2 equations, you can solve and find the answer. What you will do? You will resolve this vertically. T into sin theta minus w. Why? This is downward direction. You can use for sum of y equal to 0 and you can use sum of x equal to 0, and you can add plus r. Why? R is acting at right hand side, and t into cos theta. So this will be minus. Why? Because this tension, if I resolve, it will go to left hand side, and you can use these 2 equations and find the t with this, and this is the usefulness of free body diagram. Also you have a second example. In this case you have a floor and a ball. So what are the number of forces will be acting. If there is a ball, it will be having a weight, and the weight will be acting at one direction. And if there is a floor here, the floor will support the ball. Hence, you will be having a reaction, that is R, and it is being tied by a rope, and the third force is known as T. So all the forces are written here. So you can remove this component, and by using this diagram you can solve the problem. And this is the free body diagram. Also, if a man is standing here, that man will be having a force which is the self weight. So this will be acting at downward, and if you are standing in a floor, you will be having a reaction, that is force equal to reaction. Then if two are same, so this is the free body diagram who is standing. So what is that? A force will be acting at upward and downward at a point. So this is a pictorial view, and this is a real-time view, and this is a free body diagram. In this free body diagram, you will be only having the forces. Okay. And self weight can be written in terms of W, and normal reaction can be written in terms of R, and it will be acting perpendicular to the plane under the consideration. So whatever plane, if you consider, if the plane is horizontal, and your reaction will be upward. If your plane is vertical, your reaction will be horizontal. So along this plane you will be having the reaction, and T is the tension of the string. Okay. So let us understand the Lamy's theorem by using the solution of this problem. And you have a condition which is a crate of mass. So the mass is being hung here, and it is having 200 kg of weight, and it is supported by a rope and pulley arrangement as shown in figure. So here you have the two pulleys, 1 and 2. These are the two pulleys, and you have the rope. It is being tied, and it is being forced at another direction. If you apply force, the object will be lifted, and if you release the force, the object will be dropped. And determine the minimum required magnitude of force F, and also find the direction of force. So what is the force which is required in order to hang this object? So if 200 kg of force which is acting downward, so you have to pull this object. So what force if you give, the object will be hanged. Okay, this is the given data. So whatever the condition which is given, you have to make in terms of free body diagram in order to solve. Okay, let us make this given data in terms of free body diagram. We know that the object is hung by a load which is 200 kilonewton. That will be the weight. So 200 into 9.81. Why we are multiplying here? We need force. So they have asked in terms of force. So weight into acceleration due to gravity will give the force. So 200 into 9.81 will be getting the W here. Okay. First thing I have drawn, and next I have to draw F, the force. And F force is drawn. I don't know the angle. So with respect to horizontal, we know that the total angle will be 90, and if you take from the vertical plane, this is theta, and the rest of the thing will be 90 minus theta. And the next thing is, you have the pulley from the top of the cantilever beam is resting at 30 degree from vertical plane. So you can take the same concept, that is the opposite side will be equal. So if this is 30, and you can take this angle as 30, and the same angle which is being taken as 30. So this is the tensioned force, that is T. And if this is 30 from vertical, what is 90 minus 30 will be 60. So now you have found out 30 and 60 here. So the rest of the angle is 90. So both the angle will be 90 here, and you just need to find the theta here. Okay, what is necessary is how much of force which is required in order to lift the object. So you can see three number of forces are acting at a single point. Now you can use the concept of Lamy's theorem, which will be useful. And what is that theorem? The force and the sine of opposite angle will be equal. So the force here is 1962 Newton divided by sine 30 plus theta. So So W is the force and divided by sine 30 plus theta. And the next force F, the opposite angle is 60 plus 90. So F divided by 60 plus 90. And T, what is the opposite angle? 90 minus theta plus 90. So you can add that, that is 180 minus theta. So T by 180 minus theta. So this is the Lamy's theorem. So if you can apply, and now you can take one of the two equations. Either you can take F and T, or you can take W and F. So either you can take two of the equations to find the solution. Now we know W, so it is easy to take W and other force. So let us take W and F. Let us take these two equations. The unknown here is the theta. Okay, if you need the F, you can cross multiply sine 90 plus 60, that will be sine 150, and W into sine 150. So W you have already found out, and divided by sine 30 plus theta. Now you know that how to find this theta. See, F is a minimum when sine 30 degree plus theta is maximum, and the maximum value of sine where you will get is 30 plus theta equal to 90 degree. So if sine 30 plus theta, that is if this is theta is 60 degree, so if you apply sine 0, what is sine 0? Sine 0 is 0, and if you apply sine 30 will be 0.5. And what is the maximum value of sine? So sine 90 is 1. So you can use the 100% of the efficiency of sine theta in terms of 90 degree only. Hence you are applying 30 plus theta equal to 90. So the angle, if you find theta here, 90 minus 30 will be 60. And if you apply theta as 60 degree, you will be having maximum number of force. That is why we are introducing theta as 60. So if you apply 60 here, and now if the theta is 60, then next 90 minus theta will be 30. Okay, so sine 90, if I am applying sine 90, it will become 1. Just you multiply 1962 into sine 150. Then you will be getting F as 981 Newton. So if you apply 981 Newton of force, you can lift this object and keep this condition in equilibrium. Okay. Now let me go to the next problem. And a 3 kilonewton crate is subjected to a row pulley arrangement as shown in figure. Determine the magnitude and direction of minimum force F that should be exerted at the free end of the rope. So the same condition is given. The minimum force they have asked in order to keep this condition into equilibrium. So the same problem, there is only one difference, which is known as they have given in terms of distance. So the rope pulley action is given in terms of distance. So in the last problem, they have given in terms of theta. So you can find, even though they have given in distance, you can apply tan theta and find the angle. So if the horizontal is 1.05 and vertical is 3.60, you can find opposite by adjacent. So you can take this as theta. From the vertical, you can take this as theta. Opposite is 1.05 and adjacent is 3.60. If you tan inverse, you will be getting 16.26 degree. So you can find from the vertical, theta is 16.26 degree. And you can draw the free body diagram here. Weight is acting downward and the force is acting at an angle of alpha, and you know the theta and the tensile force. So this is T here. Now you need to find F. Okay. So we have already found theta here. We can use Lamy's theorem. So F divided by this angle. So what is the opposite angle? This will be 90. So 90 plus sine 90 minus theta. So the whole angle will be 90 minus theta. So here you have 90. So 180 minus theta, and F by 180 minus theta, and T by 90 plus alpha. So this is the angle. So T by 90 plus alpha, and W by theta plus 90 minus alpha. So W by sin theta plus 90 minus alpha. This is our equation. Since we need f, we can take w, we know the term w. If you take the equation of t, we either know f or we either know t. Both are unknown. So hence it is easy to take the two equation which is you are having certain data. So w by sin theta plus 90 minus alpha. Let us use this equation. Now in order to find the alpha, I have earlier said that if we want to lift this object, what is the maximum intensity of sine? So sine's maximum intensity is 90 degrees. So the maximum will be sin 90, which is 1. So if you equate this, you will be getting theta equal to alpha. And after getting theta equal to alpha, so both the things will be equal. Hence, you can substitute the theta and alpha in terms of this equation. So sin theta and sin alpha both will get cancelled. Why? Because this is in terms of plus and this is in terms of minus, and sin 90 will be 1. So you can use sin 90 is 1. So 3 by 1 will be your answer. And finally, you can find 3 into sin 16.26 degree, and if you multiply, you will be getting 0.839 kilonewton as the force here. Okay, so this is the way to find this solution of the second problem, and I hope that you have understood the concept of Lamy's theorem and its application, so where it is easily used, and also the three concepts: what is equilibrium, equilibriant, and the conditions of equilibrium, that is principle of equilibrium. So these are the today's class.